Time for another coronavirus special from the Art Bunker here in self-isolation. And today I thought we'd draw a tiger. Let's talk about Joe Exotic, the Tiger King. So like a lot of people who are self-isolating, stuck at home, watching Netflix, the Tiger King's become this phenomenal thing which I find interesting. I enjoy the Tiger King in the same way that I enjoy the WWE, in that it's probably more of a forced storyline than actual truth. Being on a few documentaries, and I can say that some of them are more interested in telling a story and then finding all the facts to fit the story. So you got to remember, the documentary these days, it's about entertainment. So entertainment's number one, truth number two. But having said that, and also having worked in a zoo myself, I found the thing fascinating. So I'm drawing this Sumatran tiger, and I'm starting off with pencils. I'm going to add some watercolour to it soon. The whole Joe Exotic, he's kind of like a likeable character from a distance. I can sort of imagine he'd be terrible to work for. But from the safety of the TV set, he looks like kind of a fun guy. And again, I just sort of think of the WWE, the wrestling. He's kind of like that. Joe Exotic is to zookeeping what Hulk Hogan is to athletes. I think with Joe, I think he really did love his tigers. I think it sort of became more about him at some stage. Again, probably being suckered into the storyline that the Netflix series put forward. So I was looking at it, and one of the things I was saying was abuse. And keep in mind, I'm being a zookeeper, but I've never dealt with big cats. They're saying that allowing the public to pat lions and tiger cubs is a form of abuse. I actually would call that an enrichment, in that if you've got these cats, and cubs are very, very playful, they just love to be played with. I would tend to think that these things born in captivity, having someone to play with them would actually be an enrichment for their life, a nice distraction in their life. So I don't really see that as abuse. One of the things I probably didn't agree with, though, is probably the breeding of ligers. I think when we get animals from the wild and we crossbreed them with similar animals from the other side of the planet, we are creating something for our amusement. It's sort of human arrogance, and it has absolutely nothing to do with conservation. So I can get behind ambassadors for a species, and I'm very keen to see really wild animals as they should be. And so if he's just breeding Sumatra tigers or Siberian tigers or Bengal tigers, if he's just breeding them and keeping them pure, then that's both a conservation effort, in that if they are an endangered species, then he is building up an insurance population, and also an educational tool showing people this is what they really look like, and these guys are losing their habitat or they're in trouble. That becomes a two-pronged conservation effort. But breeding ligers, nah, that's just, that's circus stuff, that is. And unfortunately I see that so much in a lot of, not so much the zoo industry, but certainly the pet trade. Because everybody wants to collect something different. Especially in my area with reptiles. Everybody's wanting an albino, this or that. Everybody wants to breed something different. They want to breed it so far removed from what it looks like naturally. I just love the natural, wild look of certain animals. And I think that's probably what separates Joe's zoo from respectable zoos. Or a mainstream zoo, if you like, would have more of a natural history educational bent on it, as well as a conservation message, as well as breeding an endangered species. The woman that he was having so much trouble in, again, I don't see that she's really doing a lot for conservation either. She's just rescuing, again, she's probably got ligers and stuff like that. Whatever she can get her hands on it. All these pets that people can't control anymore. And it's probably good that she's got an animal shelter. However, I don't really see it as a good, beneficial conservation effort. So you can see at this stage I'm using Indian ink. I've sort of done quite a bit with a paintbrush, and then I've moved on to using the nibs, doing a bit of stippling in the eye, and this I'm just enjoying doing this detail. Again, when you're sort of stuck indoors all the time, it's great to turn to art. Art's fun. So there's another great documentary which features quite a lot of Joe Exotic in there, and it's done by Louis Theroux, who's a great interviewer from London. Now, Louis Theroux's episode is called America's Most Dangerous Pets, where he covers not just the tigers but also the chimpanzees. It was done quite a few years before the Tiger King, and what you see there is you still can sort of see Joe's bit strange, but a little bit more even-keeled, a little bit more, probably not quite as crazy. The good thing about a Louis Theroux show is at the end of it, he kind of leaves you to make up your own mind, to draw your own conclusion. He just asks the questions, and sometimes it's enough for people to hang themselves because he gives them enough rope to do so. But he is way more down the line, middle, try to see both sides of things. So it's probably worth looking at the Louis Theroux, not just for tigers, but for people who keep chimpanzees as well. Time to chuck some watercolour on this. The Indian ink that I've put down is waterproof, and it almost repels the watercolour, so it makes it very easy just to hand colour with watercolour. I've quite enjoyed drawing this tiger. As a kid, it was one of the things I used to really love to do, is to draw and paint big cats. I was just absolutely fascinated by big cats. I love drawing the leopards and tigers in particular, anything with markings, jaguars, that sort of stuff. I love that stuff. So as I'm doing this art, it kind of reminds me of, or it takes me back to when I was like about between 10 and 12, when I used to do so many of these big cats. I'd like to think my skills have improved a bit since then. A lot of the time with illustration, when it comes to colouring in, if you got a good strong drawing underneath, you can't go wrong. I want to splash the green here, make it sort of look like I don't care. I like to sort of like do it rough. And so next what I'm doing is getting some gouache, putting some highlights in the eyes, and also making them lighter in places. At this stage I really want to get the eyes right. And then the other thing, I use the gouache for whiskers and also to soften up some of the lines. Just a little few highlights here and it should be finished. And here's my picture of the Sumatran tiger. So I hope you enjoyed the rant. Stay inside, self-isolate and draw a lot. That's my advice. See you in the next video.